It was pretty quiet, actually. We'd have a few little probes, like they'd have send in like a company to find out where the shooting was, you know. Just one place they pulled in a tank, and the guy from D Company knocked it out with a bazooka. And they just had many probes. You know, we'd take and send out patrols at night to check. You know, you could check all the houses on the other side of the hill over there, and see if there's any movement around them. Most of the time, it was just trying to keep warm, but to keep alert. But the worst part about it was you had all this newspapers and stuff in you to keep you warm. But then you go on a patrol, you're wading through deep snow, you get all sweated up, and then you're colder than you ever were before. We'd spend most of our time patrolling, at night. They had several small attacks, but this one on January 3rd, they had this big attack. I mean, they were pulling back, but I guess Hitler pissed off because we held Bastogne, 7 roads crossed in Bastogne, and we held them against 7 divisions of German army, and they had orders to wipe us out at all costs. And they tried. They come in with tanks and infantry, Panzer Grenadiers. Our company that day lost 45 men. And I shot up, I don't know, about 2.5 boxes of machine gun ammunition, at least, maybe 3. And there's 250 rounds in a box. But the tanks, you keep them coming. Everything was like in a battle, everything seems to go in slow motion. You sound like I'm shooting a machine gun and it sounds like a muzzleloader, bam, 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 but it's like a kaleidoscope. Everything's all mixed up. You're just like you got tunnel vision. You're just seeing what's right directly in front of you. I can remember the machine gun hammering against my shoulders, going and getting hot, and the ammunition disappeared in a hurry. And Germans going down, and there was a tank kept coming, and I kept bouncing bullets off of it, but it was coming up the road. It just, it was all mixed up. I reloaded 3 times and didn't realize it. I don't remember reloading. The only thing I remember is going over, all of a sudden, this tank comes up, and it's close, very close. And all of a sudden, it exploded. And I found out my buddy Calf Boy knocked it off with him. He knocked off 3 tanks with a bazooka, and this was the 3rd one. Later on, I found out they put a monument where that tank was knocked out, and it was only 30 yards from my hole. That's how close he got. And when it was over, I looked up and I started crying like a baby, and I was shaking so damn much, the reaction, your adrenaline, and the machine gun was so hot, it'd keep cooking them off. Like it'd fire, and it would kick the shell out, put another one in, and it gets so hot, it'd fire that one and carry another one in. I had to take the belt out to shut it up, But old Calf Boy, Bastogne, he come over and he says, "Some fight, eh?" You better believe it. He says, "Are you hit?" I said, "No, you?" "No." He said, Christ, there's dead guys laying all over, and Germans laying out there, and there's somebody in that tank, and the tank was burning. It was just, it was so dead silence. You look out and there's bodies all over the place, and I just reaction set in. I just bawled like a baby. When the Patton broke through to us, everybody says he relieved us. He didn't. He just brought ammunition and took off. Our company's down to 13 men, and we attacked. We're attacking them with 13 men. that's when I got hit. And well, we was attacked in this one town of Bouncy, Bouncy, Bouncy. It's down in the valley, and there's a railroad track goes through the town, and there's an underpass where the highway goes under. Well, there's a German tank would pull into that underpass and fire up the hill and then pull back in. See? Well, we were up on the side of this big hill, and there's woods up there. At first we was attacked, and they told us to pull back to the woods and dig in. So we did. Every once in a while, that tank would come out and fire up the hill. See, we didn't have anything that would knock it out. Too far for a bazooka and too late in the day to call in air support. So I dug in. I was underneath a pine, over about 15, 20 feet from a pine tree. I dug in, and I just dug in deep enough where I could sit with my knees up and my head to be below the surface of the ground. And I'm down there, I'm trying to eat a frozen K ration. It's just getting dark, you know. And that damn tank come out, and he fired. And the first shell hit this tree, blew the top out of the tree, and that blew branches, and the concussion just stung me. See? And it blew twigs and pine needles all over me. And I started scraping pine needles off a frozen K ration and tried to gnaw away on that. And Lieutenant Downey come crawling over. He says, "Hey, Mac, we got some water. You better get it before it freezes." So I got up out of my hole, and I fell flat on my face. And I'm wondering, what the hell is the matter? I couldn't straighten out my right leg. Look down, there's a splinter of steel sticking out like a spike, sticking out of my knee about 4 inches. You know, so that tree burst. It went my knee, went underneath the kneecap right into the joint. You know, and I couldn't straighten my leg. I reached down and I grabbed hold of it. I had gloves on. Reached down, I grabbed hold of it, and I pulled it out. And man, I'll tell you right now, that hurt, you know. And Lieutenant Downey says, "Jesus Christ, Mac, are you hit again?" And I said, "Looks like it." He says, "Can you walk on it?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "I'll try." He said, "I got up and found out if I didn't bend my knee, I could walk on it." He said, "There's an aid station back over the hill. See if you can find it." So I staggered up over the top of the hill, and I see an old shed there. Probably used to be a chicken coop. It had a lantern hanging in it. And I went down there, and there was dead guys laying out in front of it, and a couple guys inside, wrapped up. One guy with the whole side of his face gone, his eyeball hanging out the side here. Another guy with his arm hanging by a little piece of meat. And I looked down that little hole in my knee. I said, "Yeah, the hell with it." And I walked back up over the hill. And I picked up a Tommy gun. I walked back up over the hill. And by the time I got up there, our guys had moved down into the town. See, well, I staggered down into town. And I found out what was left of the 3rd Platoon. There was Brooks, Robinson, and a guy named Anderson, I think it is, and me. We're the 3rd Platoon. I had a Tommy gun. Brooks had the machine gun. And the other 2 guys had rifles. We was a whole 3rd Platoon, F Company. We're all in one big shell hole. And Downey come crawling over and says, "Hey, we're getting relieved by an infantry outfit." You know, and give them the password when they show up. See? So we're sitting there, you know, all in one hole, smoking, you know. And I heard somebody moving around, so I hollered out the password. I said, "Flash." And they said, "Thunder." And this lieutenant come crawling up, all nice, clean clothes and shiny bars, you know. And he says, "I'm looking for a 3rd Platoon of F Company." I says, "Right here." He says, "Where are your positions?" I says, "Right here." He says, "Where's the rest of your men?" I says, "There ain't no rest. This is the 3rd Platoon." He come in with 60 men, 2 2 heavy machine guns, 2 light machine guns, a 30 millimeter cannon, and a bazooka to relieve 4 of us. And they start calling up, they're all just over from the States. They're all nice, clean uniforms, and they're calling like you do, creeping and crawling like you do in basic training. We said, hey, look, soldiers. No kidding, soldiers? Yeah. We look like a bunch of refugees. Nobody shaved in a month. Had to have our clothes off. We could smell us 2 blocks away. And these guys are all nice and clean,